Rosenberg, political strategist and president of the New Democratic Network. And back with us is the Washington Post, Rebecca Cinderbrand. Good to have you both with us again. Simon, let me ask you this. If you're the RNC and you're concerned, if you're the RNC, are you concerned about those numbers that Kristen was just talking about?
Absolutely. I mean, it's almost, there's a question now about whether Donald Trump is even trying to run a traditional campaign at all. And I think if you're a Republican right now, you're seeing poll numbers getting worse. Hillary has had a very strong few weeks. Trump's had a very bad few weeks happening at the same time. We now know that they're not even trying to mount a traditional campaign. I mean, going on the air with $50–60 million over 2 months unopposed is going to really drive his numbers down. Look, the Republicans are in trouble. And they've got to, and that's why I think you're seeing now all of this talk about whether they can try to replace him one more time at the convention.
And Rebecca, BuzzFeed is reporting that Sanders supporters were learning how to protest at a summit in Chicago this weekend. Evan McMorris Santoro writes, quote, several dozen of them attended the training on how to march, how to follow a chant, how to defy police orders, to disperse by sitting and locking arms in what's called the human chain, and how to conduct themselves when the police stepped in and physically removed them. Is Sanders' refusal to concede and endorse causing more harm than good to both the Democratic Party and specifically to the campaign?
Well, look, you know, from Bernie Sanders and some of his strongest supporters right now, they're kind of working through the final stages of campaign grief. So both of them right now are in a process. And, you know, several people have pointed out, and it's very true, that, you know, for Sanders to kind of turn on a dime and immediately after making claims that, you know, the campaign is rigged and that the process has been set up against him, to immediately turn around and endorse might have seemed a bit artificial. As of now, we know he still has Secret Service protection, though he's not actively campaigning. Looking at the polls, it's not going to be an impact in terms of votes. The question is going to be at the convention. They're going to have a real opportunity, the Democrats possibly. The Republican convention is shaping up to be quite eventful. And so the Democrats, if they're able to have a week that's relatively smooth and relatively bump-free, it'll present quite a contrast, unless there's that sort of, you know, the element, the hardest core supporters who don't want to concede and they cause some sort of a disruption that might harm those plans just a bit.
And Simon, let's talk a little bit about the Bernie Sanders campaign in terms of what kind of concessions he may realistically get from these ongoing talks with the Clinton campaign. He's got a lot on his side in terms of how he's energized the base, brought new voters into the party, really brought some, you know, serious issues to the forefront of the Democratic Party. But has he lost some of that momentum to be able to shape the policy platform going forward?
I don't think so yet, and I think what's really important about what is Bernie really looking for, right? I think he's looking for respect. I mean, he did a remarkable thing. He ran an amazing campaign. He brought lots of new people in, lots of new, you know, excitement and passion into the race. And I think somehow the Clinton campaign, my own instinct here is that, you know, this is a very important early test for Hillary as the leader of the party. I think that, you know, this deal is going to get done. It may take a few more weeks, but I think by the time the convention comes along, the Democrats will be united and presenting that contrast that Rebecca was talking about from what will be a very complicated convention on the Republican side.
And Rebecca, as you mentioned, you know, Bernie Sanders not necessarily campaigning as much, but could he play a role in actively campaigning for Hillary Clinton, or even going out, as we've seen Elizabeth Warren, and really go after Donald Trump, something he said he wants to make sure that to see that Donald Trump will not win the White House? Is there a role for him there?
And that's the big question, exactly how we're going to see Bernie Sanders used in this campaign. You know, it's clear that at some point we're going to see him out campaigning, certainly against Donald Trump. Whether that also, you know, involves campaigning with Hillary Clinton, that's hard to see at this moment, but that's not impossible. And so that's something that we're going to have to see in the days and weeks ahead. And, you know, that deal that comes together, both ahead of the convention, at the convention, that's going to be critical. He is, in fact, obviously looking for respect. And if he feels as though he's being treated with that respect, we'll probably see him be a more enthusiastic buy-in to the Clinton campaign than otherwise.
All right, Simon Rosenberg, president and founder of the New Democratic Network, and Rebecca Cinderbrand of the Washington Post. Thank you both for joining us.
Thank you.